Are you ready to start feeling great? Would you like to stop the cravings, the depression, and the anxiety? At InnerBalance Health Center, we're here to put you on a path to a happier, healthier life. Addiction is a physical illness. Researchers have found that a number of genetic factors, nutritional deficiencies, and medical conditions contribute to the physical and psychological drive to self-medicate using drugs and alcohol. Biochemical imbalances, which may have existed before the use of drugs and alcohol, will only be exaggerated when the dependent substances are removed from the body. 80% of the time, a person will return to using drugs and alcohol for relief of symptoms including anxiety, irritability, confusion, depression, insomnia, cravings, fatigue, and irrational thinking. This is the cycle of addiction. When sobriety is the goal, simply abstaining from drugs and alcohol is ineffective for a long-term recovery. While talk therapy is an important component to a better lifestyle, it too is ineffective as a single treatment strategy. Why? Because the underlying biochemical repairs have not occurred. Treatment at InnerBalance Health Center is different. InnerBalance is one of only a few centers worldwide that treat addiction using combination therapy. Recovery begins with a series of medically supervised lab tests to identify problematic biochemical factors. Results are used to create an individualized health plan. Appropriate vitamin, amino acid, and hormone replacement therapy, as well as a healthy diet, correct the body's deficiencies and provide physical relief for the many symptoms of addiction. Once the nervous system and body are restored to health, the patient is stronger and healthier, making way for mental and emotional recovery. Long-term recovery is possible only after the needs of the whole person, body, mind, and spirit, are met. Joe Isley, Program Director at InnerBalance Health Center, is a nationally certified drug and alcohol therapist with over 22 years of experience.
The three components of the InnerBalance program, one is the biochemical repair. That's where our patients come in and they get a good physical by the doctor. Then they see the nurse and they're hooked up with an IV drip of vitamins and minerals to help them detox, to help them feel better right away. Then they see the nutritionist, and she goes over a very extensive protocol for foods to eat and to avoid, certain foods like sugars and starches, caffeine, white flour, things like that can keep a person feeling bad. Also, the nutritionist sets them up with a vitamin regime. The alcoholics and addicts that come to us are very depleted in vitamins, amino acids, minerals. And so this biochemical repair is very, very important, and that's a big part of our program. That's one unique feature of how we're different than other programs. And then the other component of our program that we feel is very, very powerful is the mental health part, but it's different. We don't go back into a person's past and bring up feelings or their childhood, because that does nothing but bring up anger, frustration, depression. But what we have to focus on is the individual's thinking and how their thinking affects their chemical use. And our belief is the mind is a very powerful tool. It can work for us, but in the alcoholic and addict's case, it can work against them, because it's their thinking that always convinces them. It's their thoughts that lead them back to picking up that first drink. And what it is their faulty belief system, their belief that they can get away with it, they can handle it, they're not going to lose control. So we have to create what we call a psychological shift in the person's thinking. We have to create a new belief system, a belief system that where they start to think and feel about their chemicals as they would rat poisoning or arsenic. that it's a poison, it's a toxin, and that they will never get away with it, that they'll always lose control and it will always damage their life. And then the third component of our program that is special is what we can call our spiritual part of our program. If you really understand the seriousness of an addiction, what happens is that the drugs and alcohol will slowly, sometimes quickly, but it will always start damaging and severing very important relationships in a person's life, very important connections with themselves. They start feeling bad about what they're doing, losing control, causing damage in other people's lives, and they start to feel bad about that, so they start disconnecting from themselves spiritually. They start disconnecting from family, from friends, from nature, from any higher power, and it's this absence of loving, connected relationships in their life that they feel all alone, and they keep going back to the alcohol and the drugs to take away the pain or those bad feelings of not being connected. So what we have to do, in our opinion, any alcoholic or addict who's going to have long-term, lifelong sobriety, they have to start reconnecting with these relationships. They have to start feeling loving relationships for themselves. They have to start building them with family, with friends, and this takes time. So we give our patients tools to stay sober in the short run while they're building and repairing all of these important relationships. So those are the three components that we feel are really important for a person's to really recover and to stay sober and healthy for the rest of their lives.